Nidal, yes, you can start now. Now it's streaming.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Dr. Marwan Sultan should not have been killed. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Dr. Marwan Sultan should not have been killed and murdered. Dr. Adnan al-Bur should not have been killed. Dr. Mahmoud, Dr. Muhammad, Dr. Ahmad, Dr. Fatima, Dr. Husniya, Dr. Hassan, paramedic Bara, paramedic Wael, paramedic Hussein, paramedic Ahmad, paramedic Mahmoud. None of them should have died. None of them should have been killed. 20,000 children should not have been killed. But if they must die, we must live. We must win. If they must die, we must live. Not to survive, but to fulfill the duty of what their death demands. We must live to carry their story, their names, their struggle, to ensure they are not forgotten and that their killers are not forgiven. We must live to feed the starving, heal the wounded, protect the children, and rebuild what was destroyed. To raise the orphans with dignity, to bring the prisoners home, to bring Hussam home, to bring his colleagues home, to care for the amputees, the disabled, the sick, whose lives are triply burdened by war, poverty, and abandonment. We must live to restore the hospitals, the clinics, and pharmacies reduced to rubble, to return doctors and nurses to their rightful work, healing, not burying. We must live to stand with mothers who held the ashes of their children, with fathers who buried their families, with elders who lost their land, their home, and generations of memory again and again. We must live to break the chains of occupation, to dismantle the machinery of genocide, and expose the armies, corporations, ideologies that profit from death, and to dismantle genocidal supremacist projects disguised as sacred scriptures. We must live for the poor, the oppressed, the racialized, the disabled, the displaced, the immigrants, all those crushed by the same systems of supremacy and greed. We must live because the world is broken, and we are here to fix it, to build a world where no child is hungry, no voice is silenced, and no people are disposable. We must live because we are healers, not by profession alone, but by moral command. And healing demands justice. Neutrality in the face of genocide is betrayal. Silence is complicity. We must win, because if we don't, genocide wins. Because if we don't, history will repeat in darker forms. Because Palestine must be free, from the river to the sea, and from the sea to the river, and from the river to the sea, and from the sea to the river, from Lebanon to Egypt, from Rafah to Haifa, من الرشراش حتى الجليل. We must win because our oath was not to systems, but to life, not to empires, but to the people, not to survival, but to liberation. This is our promise. We will live. We will fight. We will win for the dead, for the living and for all our humanity. Thank you everyone for here. I'm gonna move with our great colleague, Dr. Adnan Al-Farra, one of the heroes of medicine in Gaza. Him and all his colleagues have been enduring genocide and working under conditions of genocide and total attack on healthcare systems for the last 2 years. And despite all of this, despite all the destruction, the scarcity, the murder, the attacks on the hospitals, on the clinics, the torture, the abductions, they continue to live up to their oath. And we're all proud of them. We're all proud to be with them. We're all proud to hear from them. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. It's all yours. Ahla wa sahla. You are
Dr.
muted.
Ahmed, you're muted.
عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Again, thank you for having me. This is a great honor for me. Thanks for Dr. Nidal, Dr. Karama, Dr. Maisa, if she's available. Thank you for everyone. As Dr. Nidal mentioned, we have to continue. It is unstoppable way. Unstoppable way. You know, one of my friend phoned me from Britannia. She told me, please don't talk about Dr. Musa Khafaja. I'm afraid about you because they are targeting the medical sectors, and the one who are talking about that, I told her if we stopped, who will reveal the truth? Who will talk about them? We have to continue. This is our faith, and we have to face our faith. Thank you, my colleagues. Again, we get a lot of positive energy from that meeting that's happening every Sunday with you. To see your support, even if it is just by refusing that genocide that's happening in Gaza. Let me put you in the updating about Nasser Medical Complex. Nasser Medical Complex is still suffering from evacuation. They put Nasser Medical Complex in the square of evacuation. And unfortunately, a lot of doctors and nurses and employees in the hospital, they are very, very worried about attacking the hospital at any time. I'm not surprised that I have today in the morning meeting a lecture about meningitis as we have an increased incidence of meningitis in the hospital. While giving the lecture, nearly 4 or 5 bombs were falling near the hospital, just 100 meters far from it, and all the audience or the doctors were in that meeting. They were screaming, and we continued, and we have to continue because there is no another way in our future. Again, this is the first problem, but we have support our teams. Dr. Muhammad Zakar, if he's with, support the nurses as possible. We supported the doctors, and thanks God, no one left the hospital. We still there, and we still working there, and we will not leave the hospital anyway, because no way to escape. This is our hospital, and we will do everything to continue because it's the only hospital in the south of Gaza. About the fuel, we have lack of fuel, but they are dealing with us with something called it don't let him to die and don't let him to live. They give you fuel for 3 to 4 days, and in the fourth day and in the last 2 hours, they permit for the OCHA and United Nations NGOs to permit for another quantity or a little amount of a quantity of fuel to be supplied for the hospital. So we are suffering. We contact the media, and I started to ask for something belongs the engines. The engines of diesel are working since 2 years ago. It didn't stop for 1 minute, and the voice for it is loud. The some of the instrument inside that engine need to be changed and not available in the market. Always, also the oil that used for that engine is not available in Gaza. So we ask for a lot of maintenance for that engine, and we ask the OCHA and the NGOs if it's possible to supply the hospitals by separated line of electricity, as this is an legal and humanitarian solution for the problem of hospitals' electricity. It's unbelievable to every 2 to 3 days to stay in that situation. The engine will stop, and you prepare to evacuate the NICU from neonates and prematures, and to start to be ready for the adult ICU to be pumping by manual, and to stop the intensive care unit system or intensive care unit mechanical ventilation. The third problem that we are facing, and it is the most aggressive one, is lack of milk. Lack of milk is included in the lack of food all over Gaza. Even nowadays, we are expecting in Gaza that that the ceasefire will be applied as soon as possible. They are looking for that in Gaza. We hope so. And some of them started to make a joke in the media that meat will come inside Gaza. What is meat? What is a chicken? What's that? We heard about this before. They don't know if they will see it or not. Some of them that belongs to dietitian, they alarming to get a lot of meat if that happened, to eat a lot of meat, because this is make heavy on the renal system and make a lot of proteins, and this is make overload on the kidney and renal system. We hope that these things will enter, and we will manage, inshallah, if someone get an overload of the kidney. One of the most striking examples for malnutrition or for lack of milk was since 3 days ago. A family, they have an infant of 2 months old, came to the hospital by a very strange complaint. They came by an infant 2 months old, just 2 months. He comes suffocated to the hospital. We accept him, and we deal with him as airway, breathing, circulation, try to remove something strange from his mouth. And you can imagine what was that. they didn't found a milk for the baby for 2 days, and the baby was screaming, and I think his mother was sick or something like that. She's unable to breastfeed. They make chickpeas hummus for the baby and try to feed him, and he was suffocated. He's in the intensive care unit, and was waiting for a bronchoscope to remove that from his bronchial tree.
Good.
Uh,
How's he doing now, Doctor? معلش طمنا عليه.
I'll contact Dr. Ahed. He's responsible for him now. While we are doing, he's well. While we're doing this meeting, and I'll get the last updating about him. When I talked to the media, someone asked me from Al-Arabiya English. She told me, why did this a mistake for the baby? I told her they have to save his life, but they are lost the thinking. When you see your baby is crying 24 hours over 24 hours, you know, hunger is one of the worst weapon that taken, and that was dealing with the Palestinian people in Gaza. I know what is the meaning of hungry, because I saw it in my family, not in a strange people. Sometimes at night, your baby, my son, he's 8 years old. He's getting at night, my father, I want to eat. You will try to make some trick for him, or you try to make a joke with him. You are try to take with him and walking among the tents. We are near the sea. Sometimes I get his hand and going there, and try to forget for him the mind for eating. After that, he's coming back and told me again what I can eat. This is one of the most harmful feeling you can feel, that you are feeling unable and to do something for your child. You have money, but you can't buy anything. You have in memory everything, but you can't do that for your family and for your baby. If that happening with sorry, for a doctor, what we can say for the all the people in Gaza, for the lowest socioeconomic status. So my friends, don't be surprised about the people who are going for Gaza Foundation humanitarian aid, or genocide humanitarian aid, because he has a chance. He's like someone who's playing a game. Maybe he lost his life, but maybe he's win. The probability is 1-to-1, like playing in nerd game, or roulette game. If he survived without targeting, and without killing, and without injured, he may feed his family. And just on daily basis, just on 24 hours, he postponed the dying of the family, all the family. So I don't blame any one of them. I don't blame my neighbors. I don't blame my relatives who were there, and all of them, they were martyred and they were killed. I saw a lot of them in the reception room, and I felt that I am handicapped to do something for them, because I really feel about that. I really feel about what is the meaning of hungry for your kids. You can tolerate 1 day, second day, third day, fourth day, but you can't convince your child to tolerate more and more. This is about milk, but again, we take support from your supporting us. Some volunteers called us from Algeria, Egypt, and from Jordan, from Britain, from America. They try to buy some milk from here and there. They try to send some milk with UNICEF, and some of them, alhamdulillah, get inside, but a little amount. So we are dealing with the amount that was available. Today visited us a woman. She's receiving some, I think 4 or 5 pieces of milk, which is double in size, from our land in 48. We called it our land inside the Greenland 48 land, أرض 48. She support us by some milk. I don't know how she make a trick to get that milk inside, but this is helping as soon as possible. Since 3 days in the reception room in the hospital, we don't have one piece of goose, and this was the first time to Nasser Medical Complex to make announce or alarming that we can't deal with any wounded patient. But yesterday, I think from Jordanian hospital and from WHO, they sent a little amount that it can be used for 1 week, for another 1 week. So my friends and my colleagues, thank you. We are dealing with a lot of problems: fuel, medical supplies, milk, security in the hospital and evacuation, hungry all over, lack of food. You get from one problem to another problem, and you may facing all problems in the same time. So to end these problems, they have to end this criminal war. This is the first. Second, we have to ask for open the borders to allow for everything to get inside Gaza. We will not stop asking about that. We will not stop asking the leaders, the communities, the NGOs, the WHO. This is our right to live. This is our right. The Palestinian people have the right to live insecure. They have the right to receive medical health. They have the right to be educated and to complete. You know, I have 3 from my son, Muhib and Muhammad, in the first year of the computer science. They have to continue. Layla is in the secondary school in the last year, Tawjihi, which is a critical step for getting inside the university. Rafif also, all of the family, she have to continue her education and her future. The last right is to have food, to be supplemented by food, good food, and good water. You know, my friends, we have unfortunately an attack of meningitis, like outbreak. When I am talking with you, we have nearly 45 cases in Nasser Medical Complex of meningitis. For our colleagues, we have bacterial and we have viral. The more serious is bacterial. Nearly the cases who are belongs 4 months of old, all of them, they are bacterial. And the cases above 1 year, most of them, they are viruses, they are viral in origin. We are we have overcrowded. The hospital is overcrowded. Even if you saw some reports on Jazeera or Al Arabiya, you will see the patient on the mattress on the floor. You will see something very strange. Meningitis need isolation to put the patient in isolated room, but this is unavailable in our hospital because of overcrowdedness and overcrowding. Also, we have all of them, they have high temperature, 40 and 41 sometimes. They need to be in some weather with fans or air condition, but this is we're unavailable. We make some campaign to support the pediatric section. Some volunteers bought some fans that not consuming a lot of energy because the energy is short in the Nasser Medical Complex. So they bought a fan with a battery. It's not consuming a lot of energy. Someone visited us from WHO. He saw the crowdiness and he saw the patient and he saw the mothers and tried to asking them. After he finished, he told us one sentence. The things that doctors and patients facing in Gaza and living in Gaza is unbelievable. This is the unbelievable, and no one can imagine that unless he saw by his naked eye. This is sorry for being too late with you. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for Dr. Nidal and Dr. Karama and Dr. Maisa. Thank you for everyone. Again, you are our supply, you are our soul, you are supporting us. Without you, we are nothing. Really, we are nothing. And again, this is our land, and we have to continue in this way. This is unstoppable way. Thank you. Thank you again. Sorry for late. Salam alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you for coming here. I know you are very busy. You have too many things to do, and despite all the difficulties, problems, you came, you showed up, you shared your truth. What you described is very harrowing, very scary. It's something out of a terror movie, but unfortunately, this is real. This is being committed by the only democracy in the Middle East and fully supported by the leader of the free world, the leader of the Western civilizations and democracy. It's just unbearable to even imagine the condition that you are describing. But despite all of this, you insisted to show up. We are really appreciative of what you did, and I want to double on what the UK colleague told you. Please be safe, Dr. Ahmed.
Yeah.
We care about you. We're worried about you. We're worried about our colleagues. We were planning not to have our colleagues from Gaza show up today because we felt lately that there have been a systematic, deliberate attack on healthcare workers, especially the senior healthcare workers, the most skilled ones. It's part of something we call intelligentsia side, medicide, scholasticide. They want to kill the ability of the society to survive, to sustain this, and to be able to regroup, to recover, to reheal, to rebuild. So this is all deliberate, this is all intentional. Please, Dr. Ahmed, I'm not going to be contacting you by email or by WhatsApp or anything else from now until hopefully there's a ceasefire. Please take all the precautions necessary to stay safe. Do whatever it takes, you and your colleagues. We want you to survive this because the people of Gaza need you and we need you. We are the one who are drawing strength from you guys. We are the one who are inspired by you. And without you, the whole world would be broken. We are all sick of genocide. We are all sick from genocide. And the only thing that is giving us some strength is you, your colleagues, the people of Gaza who are determined to survive despite it all. And as we said, we must live. I know you are busy, but feel free to stay with us whenever you can. If you have to leave, you're free to leave anytime. I know you said you have other commitments. I'm gonna move. We have. Go ahead, Karama. You gonna do
yeah.
anything? Go
Yes,
ahead.
since we have you, Dr. Ahmed, and your knowledge is so important to us. Two questions came from the questions and answer. One of them is, how old is the baby that was fed the chickpeas?
2 months is 2 months old.
Wow.
So I tried to call the hospital now to make updating about him. Tomorrow, inshallah, I will take a photo for him and make a video about him, and try to contact one of the family and to tell us why they did that, and what happening for this baby. This is one of the example every day I saw in my office a lot of examples. 2 days before, I received a lot of mothers that they were crying and they are swearing to God that they are giving herbal for their babies. Herbal like hulba, like yansun, something like that. They boiled it and tried to give it for their babies because the unavailability of milk. Unfortunately, we reach a critical point about milk. The hospitals sometimes is supplied by volunteers who want to do something good for their people, but outside the hospital, the milk is not available. The not availability of milk. We have a premature baby, not inside the hospital, outside the hospital. They are in the tents. They need milk as soon as possible, and milk is not available. I think we need to make a lot of pressure about milk, then milk, then milk. This is very harmful and very painful and very a shame for the world to not allow milk for babies. They are the only source of energy for them is just milk, and the only survive way to be survive is milk. What is your second question, please, my colleague?
The second question, Dr. Farra, is for the meningitis.
Yes.
Are the cases bacterial meningococcal meningitis, and is there a vaccine for that? And are antibiotics available? What is the prognosis for somebody who gets this infection?
Yes. My friend, the outbreak of meningitis is viral and bacterial. 50% of cases is bacterial, and 50% are viral. The bacterial belongs to strep pneumonia, not meningococcal vaccine, meningococcal bacteria. Strep pneumonia, we know it by gram stain. We do gram stain, and we can recognize the strep pneumonia by that way. The culture is what were unavailable. Dr. Yusuf Abu Rish make a connection with the Ministry of Health, and they asking the occupation Israeli forces to allow to supply the lab of the hospitals by cultures and by PCR to know what is the kind of the virus. We think that the virus belongs to enterovirus. Why enterovirus? Because the destruction of sewage system in Gaza. So unfortunately, the sewage is get inside the land, and through the water, they taking the water again from that land and dealing with it. So this is make the enterovirus to make viral meningitis. We don't afraid about viral. We are afraid about bacterial meningitis, as you mentioned, my colleagues. Alhamdulillah, up till now, thanks God that everything is diagnosed early. You know, we have one of the most skilled doctors all over the Arabic countries. They can smell the case of meningitis. They are very, very, very nice. Today in the morning meeting, I asked the neonatal doctors, Ismail, please, you did 4 lumbar puncture and the 4 lumbar puncture were positive. How you can imagine? One of them is just 12 hours ago feeling of high fever, just 12 hours, and he did LP. He told me, sorry, Dr. Ahmed, I am 17 years old in the neonatal ICU. I can smell the case of meningitis. This is what's happening in Gaza. This is from God, not from Dr. Ismail. So they are treated well. They are taking their medication. Alhamdulillah, thank God. No one of them get inside complication. No one of them get in convulsion. This is some mercy from God that you are suffering and that you are feeling difficulties. You have lack of cannulas. You have lack of antibiotic. But God protect you, inshallah. This is what's happening. I'll give you some videos about the situation in pediatric wards to Dr. Nidal WhatsApp to see the crowdiness and the situation. And I will make updating about the meningitis in Gaza. The second part of your question about the vaccination. The meningococcal vaccination is not routinely given in Gaza. It's just given for the man who will travel to Al-Hajj, Al-Umrah, something to overcrowded area. They give the meningococcal vaccine. So meningococcal vaccination is not given. Alhamdulillah, thank God that no one, nothing from meningococcal infection seen in that outbreak in Gaza, just strep pneumonia and just a viral infection. I think it is enteroviral, mostly Coxsackie and ecovirus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We always learn from you. You are a master pediatrician, master.
You
Unbelievable.
You are our
Your students and your residents are very, very lucky to have you, as well as your patients. Thank you.
Thank you.
والله إنك يعني كنز.
Thank you, my friend. We hope that
we treasure you.
We hope that we will see you, inshallah, in a faculty of medicine in Palestine, inshallah, in Quds,
Inshallah.
to share the cases with you and to consult you about everything. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate
so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed.
Most welcome, my friend.
We are waiting for
we have Dr. Abdul Wahab. Yeah, we have Dr. Abdul Wahab. We can start with Dr. Abdul Wahab until we hear from Abu Hamza. Dr. Abdul Wahab, are you there? Do you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you. So Dr. Abdul Wahab is another colleague, one of our doctors in Gaza. Thank you for coming. Thank you for making it to our webinar to give us updates about what's happening. So please, Dr. Abdul Wahab, share with the group here what do you have as most updated situation in Gaza.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nidal, for giving me this opportunity. As we usually do, I have some points to talk about. So, as you know, I'm based in the middle area at Al-Aqsa Hospital, and the Al-Aqsa Hospital density was bombed last week. A tent inside within the facility was bombarded, and oxygen concentrators were affected. This type of damage would have affected the oxygen supply that is going to the hospital, and the cases that are dependent on oxygen, for example, the ICU patients. As you all have heard, Dr. Marwan Abu Sultan, Marwan al-Sultan, the director of Indonesian hospital, and the professor at the Faculty of Medicine at the Islamic University of Gaza, has been killed last week. The Healthcare Watch team in Gaza has declared that after the killing of Dr. Marwan Abu Sultan, this this completes that all of the directors of the hospital of the hospitals in the northern part of Gaza have been either killed or detained by the IDF. Dr. Marwan was the last one of them, and he was killed last week by a targeted airstrike to the apartment that he was living in. He and his family actually was killed, including his wife. There's also the
Dr. Abdul Wahab, do
yeah.
you know, I think he's survived by three young children. Do you know them?
No, I don't know them. There are yes, few
Yeah.
of his children survived,
Yeah.
but also others have been killed,
If you
including
know
his
them
wife.
or if you have any touch with them, please عزيهم بالنيابة عنا, and we are so sorry.
Inshallah. Okay, so there's also a video that surfaced last week from a UK pediatric nurse who came to Gaza through a medical mission here. She shared her testimony, and it includes the same message that we were trying to convey over the last year of the targeting of women and children. She reported that she have witnessed and encountered a woman a pregnant woman who was injured, and that her fetus also was cut through. They tried to excavate him and to save his life, but unfortunately, she shared that both of the mother and the wounded fetus inside inside the mother womb were both killed. As you know, the Nasser Medical Complex and Al Amal and Al Amal hospitals are the main hospitals in the southern part of Gaza Strip, and they over the past month they have been repeatedly located within a red zone, and actually, few days ago, the 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 evacuation order was just repeated again with extra few blocks around the hospitals. Those evacuation orders of the blocks that contain the Nasser Medical Complex and Al Aman Medical Complex just put an extra hurdle to the access and the safe access to those facilities, which are the only main facilities for the people in the southern part of Gaza and for the people in Al Mawasi area, the so-called humanitarian zone, being so those facilities were not indicated or ordered the facilities themselves to evacuate, but all the area around them was just ordered to evacuate and move to other parts of near the beach, actually on a very narrow strip. near the beach in Al-Mawas area. Those orders just undermine the safe access to those facilities. Also, I wanted to share with you that I have lost a colleague and a friend of who was a member of the MSF team, Abdullah Hamad. Abdullah Hamad was a very humble and a very simple guy. He was working with MSF since last year, since 2024, and he was killed while he was waiting for a flower near the waiting for the trucks that are carrying a flower in the Khan Yunis area and the Tahliya area. It's the massacre that occurred 3 days ago. He was killed while he was starving and waiting for aid to come and waiting for flour to get some to his family. Abdullah Hamad will always be in our mind and always be in our prayers, inshallah. May God, Allah yarham him.
الله يرحمه يا عبد، الله يرحمه.
Allah yarhamah. So there is also the fuel crisis. You may also hear about the fuel crisis and its effect on the hospitals themselves. But there is another aspect of the fuel crisis that it's not routinely covered, actually, to be honest, which is the availability, which is its availability and its effect actually on the availability of drinking and the clean water. So since let's say the ceasefire, the municipality was just providing clean water to the houses, to the remaining houses and to the people, like 2 times a week. And for let's say since last month it was providing clean water once a week, and it's now like once every 10 days, and the amount is getting much lower than what people used to have. So people are filling whatever they can fill, for example, some gallons or some water tanks to cover their needs for this extended period with no access to water. There is also the drinking water crisis that is also going. So there was also the water pumps that just get drinking water from the wells, just rely on the fuel, and the absence or the severe shortage of fuel just make the cars that provide drinking water for people here much lesser, because the cost is very high, and also for the transportation of water, and also for getting it from the wells. So also again, similar to the clean water issue, the people are getting much lesser amount of drinking and the clean water over the past month. As you all know, there's an ongoing ceasefire negotiations, and let me tell you that almost all the people of Gaza Strip are waiting to do one thing, which is to eat a proper meal, to eat meat for the first time. Almost all the Gazans here in Gaza are saying that if it's, for example, the negotiations just agreed on Monday or Tuesday, they are all hoping to eat meat for the first time since 3 or 4 months since the ceasefire, for their next Friday meal. As you know, the Friday meal for the people, it's before the war. Almost every family, even the poor families, were used to eat like a proper meat meal on Friday, and every family here in Gaza Strip is just waiting to reach this ceasefire to achieve their usual habit that they used to. Inshallah, the ceasefire negotiations will end soon, and this genocide will end soon. And we hope to meet again in a better circumstances. Thank you
Inshallah.
for hearing to me.
Inshallah, Dr. Abdul Wahab. Allah yarhamhum. Oh, thank you for all what you're doing. Our hearts are with you, with your colleagues, with our people in Gaza, and may God bring an end to this tragedy soon. Again, thank you for doing all what you can to come here and share your truth, the truth of our people with us every week, you and Dr. Ahmed. We're still trying to connect with another colleague, Abu Hamza. He's the chief paramedic of north of Gaza, who has himself been on the ground and witnessing a lot of daily tragedies happening. And unfortunately, one of his sons, Bara, along with two paramedic colleagues, were murdered by Israel last month. Inshallah, he will try to connect and give us some updates. But until this happens, I'll move with you, Karama. Please go ahead with the second segment of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidal. So the title of our webinar is Gaza and the Disability Pride Month. Today, we are honored to have two of our colleagues, Ali Tuaima and Rami Ghboun, from the Gaza Forum Association for the Visually Impaired. They have did a study and they wrote it up, and they will hopefully share with us some findings from their new study on the conditions facing the blind and the visually impaired communities in Gaza. Their work will document immense barriers to care, education, and safety, but also the neglect that the disabled individuals and disabled communities face when humanitarian conditions are dire. Marina Salman is a disability activist known for her work at the intersection of disability rights, healthcare, and justice systems. She is Palestinian, and she is also here with us. She is a leading voice in promoting independent living philosophy and confronting ableism. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, Marina. We're also joined by our friend and our colleague, Dawn Mathieson. Dawn is a home caregiver and disability justice advocate. She has a disabled brother, Abe, and she has been involved in more than a decade of experience in direct care and lifetime experience in caring for a disabled family member. She is also a member of Healthcare Workers for Palestine and a member of Doctors Against Genocide, and she is always available above and beyond to help with her multiple skills. She is a journalist by training. Also, we have Alberto Vasquez. He is a Peruvian disability activist and the co-director of Mad Thinking. He is a member of the Collective Disability Justice for Palestine. We will hear from them all about the challenges that face individuals who have disabilities. We hope that we will get educated on how to make a difference and how to be advocates for people with disability, especially in Gaza and Palestine and all over the world. Thank you so much. Marina? Or maybe Rami can start. Rami, you are in Gaza now, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rami. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm Rami Ghboun from Gaza. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share the suffering of disabled person in Gaza, especially those who are visually impaired. I will not repeat what Dr. Ahmed said, but I just want to mention that the situation in Gaza is very sophisticated. It is truly catastrophic humanitarian crisis. As you know, most of Gaza areas have been evacuated. Just to imagine that more than 2 million people now are living in very limited space in Gaza, not exceed than 60 to 70 kilometer. There is no water, drinking water, clean drinking water in Gaza. All the educational facilities, whether it is governmental or Norway or private sector institutions, have been totally destroyed. Most of the houses also has been destroyed, infrastructure components also destroyed. Basic foods, as Dr. Ahmed mentioned, are nearly absent from markets, and those who find them must pay 10 times the normal price. The health facilities, most of health facilities in Gaza are destroyed, are non-functional. And I think more than 70% of the health facilities are destroyed, and the remaining 30% is working in its partial functionality. So everything in Gaza is very sophisticated. It's really a catastrophic situation. Let's move to the humanitarian needs overview of visually impaired in Gaza during genocide. This study has been prepared by Gaza Forum for people with visually disabilities in Gaza. During this war, as you know, the visually impaired person become one of the most vulnerable group facing compounding threats. Their loss of vision creates double layer of its challenges. The ongoing genocide, the ongoing war generate complex conditions that intensify both physical and psychological suffering for the visually impaired. They face severe barriers in access in humanitarian assistance, loss of essential services like healthcare, education, and the profound psychological trauma from armed hostilities. This reality underscores the urgent need to document the experiences of visually impaired Gazans during wartime and develop actionable pathways to safeguard their rights and ensure inclusive protection measures. The study objectives, we have 5 objectives. The first one, to identify the needs of individuals with visually disabilities across all the Gaza governorates, South, Middle, Gaza, and North governorates. Added to assess the living conditions of those individuals and to determine the key challenges they faced during the current genocide and establish a comprehensive database of persons with visual disabilities in Gaza, and finally to develop a package of targeted programs and the projects aligned with the specific needs of this population. As you know, pre-war condition, the visually impaired persons had partial access to services. There were specialized schools and centers that provide the braille printers, audiobooks, assistive technologies, but post October 7th of October 2023, everything has been destroyed, everything has been lost. More than 1,500 people have been added to the fully blinded list, and more than 4,000 are more risk total vision loss within months unless urgent medical care is provided. All the schools, all the assistive technology systems have been destroyed in Gaza. The methodology of the study, we prepared an electronic survey via Google Forms, and this survey contained closed and open-ended questions and shared with the visually impaired individuals in Gaza via WhatsApp group. We received 453 respondents for this survey. The study results, first gender distribution of respondents, as you see, this percentage is pretty similar to the general percentage or general statistics in Gaza. I think in Gaza there is 49 female percent of females and 51% of male. Material status distribution, around 42% of those individuals are married, which means that they carry the responsibility of their family members. Educational qualification, around 31% of the visually impaired person in Gaza are currently students, and unfortunately, most of them cannot follow up their education since the beginning of the war. As I mentioned that before the war, pre-war, there were specialized schools for those individuals, offered the braille programs, assistive technologies, inclusive curricula, but post-October, all of these facilities, all of these infrastructure have been destroyed. Visual impairment classification, around 66% of those individuals are suffering from the blindness, which ranged from partial to totally blindness. Also, pre-war, there were a network of vision rehabilitation centers offering mobility training, assistive technology, psychological support. But in the current crisis, all of these services are now severely disrupted. And this is not, it is completely unavailable. Additional disabilities, comorbidities, as you say, that around 20% of those individuals are suffering from another disability beside the vision disability, like hearing impairment, mobility disabilities, mental health conditions, and each day of war creates new cases of disability stacking where visual impairment combines with war injuries, malnutrition-induced conditions, and psychological trauma. Types of additional disability, as you say that more than 54% of those individuals are suffering from mobility impairment, which is due by war-related amputations. It is beside their essential disability, vision disability, yeah, as you know. Household data, family income sources. This is really, actually, it is a terrible statistics that more than 74% of these individuals have instability source of income. Family size, around more than 50% of these individuals have a family with 6 to 10 members. And this is also the general, pretty similar to the general statistics of Gaza family members. A number of disabled individuals in each family, around 22% of those individuals have another disabled person in their family member. Original housing damage, around 58% of those individuals without house. Their houses have been totally destroyed. And I think this statistic have been increased to more than 75% of the houses after the last evacuation orders in the May and June. Yeah. Current type of housing, as you say, more than 43% of those individuals are living in a tent. And you know, the difficult situation of a tent, there is no private bathroom, there is no kitchen, you have to cook your food in the street. The situation of the tent is very, very difficult, very sophisticated, yeah. Special needs of individuals with visual impairment, as they said that are the 4 main priorities of their needs: magnifying glasses, reflective glasses, white cane, and speaking assistance devices. Essential needs during the current displacement, these are the third priorities, which are food packages, health kits, and cash assistance. Suitability of the displacement environment for individuals with disabilities, of course, more than 80% of the individuals said that the current conditions are not suitable for their situation, because most of them are living in shelters, informal shelters, in tents. Continuation of educational activities, unfortunately, more than 71% of those individuals couldn't be able to continue their education since the beginning of the war. And more than 64% of those individuals intend to resume their education if the conditions are available. The preferred educational method, most of them prefer toward the physical education, in-person learning, because the electronic or online learning is difficult for those individuals. Need for psychological and social support, around 71% of those need the psychological and social support. Finally, the general recommendations of the study. Firstly, we have to update databases and conduct field documentation to detail their locations and needs to support data-driven humanitarian responses, to ensure inclusion in humanitarian responsive plans, and I think it is very important point, based on accessibility, inclusion, and non-discrimination principles. 3, to provide emergency assistive devices and rehabilitation services like white canes, speaking devices, magnifiers, assistive technology, alongside the urgent physical or psychological rehabilitation services. Also guarantee access to displacement shelters and essential services to be assured or to ensure that shelters are accessible and equipped with audible markers and guiding assistants, while also training staff or community leaders of those shelters to handle visually impaired cases. And finally, to expand psychological and social support services to address trauma, isolation, and loss of essential assistive tools caused by war and displacement. That is everything about the study. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you so much, Rami. This is a very comprehensive study and very important. Will it be published soon?
Yeah. We published it in a specific locations, but in the coming days, we will try to publish it in the media and for all the institution in all the clusters in Gaza. Yeah.
Great. I mean, we would be very happy to also highlight it and summarize it and make social media posts or include it in our website with your permission. Of course, this is really helpful.
Thanks.
And very much needed, and data is always important. So thank you. Alberto, you have your hands up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to follow up with a couple of questions, if possible. I think thank you, Rami, for the report. I have a couple of questions. I think one of it is, in this context where we know humanitarian assistance is not accessing Gaza, and we have a mockery of system now funded by the US. So how can we realistically make humanitarian assistance more accessible and inclusive for people with disabilities in this context? So that's one question. And a second question is, I assume, and congratulations for really trying to achieve this in this context, which is completely difficult. So I was wondering is what will be needed to have even a bigger picture of the situation for all people with disabilities in Gaza, and if that's feasible, and how can we help to make that happen? Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Alberto. I think we have to think with us how we can help those individuals, those disabled person in this sophisticated situation. We have to implement a lot of projects targeted to those disabled persons, especially in the urgent needs, like I don't know if we can to rehabilitate a specialized shelter for those disabled person, because they cannot live with other people. They need a specialized science, a specialized things inside the shelter. So I need I want to hear from other colleague how we can together help those disabled person. Yeah.
Dr. Ahmed Al-Farra, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Dr. Karama. Thank you again. I asked about the baby who's 2 months old who was given chickpeas. His name is Musa Librem. He undergone today. I was in the direction of Nasser Medical Complex. I was busy about him, but he did today bronchoscope, and they did for him bronchial lavage. They opening the airway, and he's doing well. They started to take artificial feed from the hospital, and I think tomorrow he will be discharged. Musa Libre, 2 months old. About the question of our colleague, alhamdulillah, about the question of from our colleagues about how we can get the supplies inside Gaza. He's asked about that.
Yes.
Yes. Some of our friends are asking how we can get the supplies into Gaza, especially milk and stuff like that. Is there any access, any group that we can work with?
Okay. I'll contact Dr. Nidal after the meeting, inshallah, and we will make some channels, inshallah, to allow for that.
That would be really incredible and very very special.
Inshallah.
So you know, for the question from Rami, you know, I think the assault on every human in Gaza does not spare the people who have disabilities. But thinking about them and understanding their challenges is really important for us to actually account for what to do. Like you said, people with visual impairment need magnifying glasses. They need special equipment. They need sticks. They need the ability to have things printed for them in much larger font. So as we are thinking of rebuilding, as we are thinking of aid and thinking of hospitals, we have to think of accessibility for the disabled. We have to think of ramps. We have to think of the possibility to have the passages in the hospital or in the beds suitable for people who have disability, especially children. And disability includes many aspects. It can be visual, it can be physical, it can be intellectual, and all these things have to be accounted for. And it is on us, the medical community at large, to continue to push for everybody to receive their full human rights, whether they are able and whether they have a disability. And, ableism is something that we should avoid, which is, giving priority for people who are actually able to do everything. We should always think of our people in our community who need help. And it is not it's not a stigma. It is not something that they're not lesser in value. It is on us to make sure that the environment is suitable for them, even if they live in a tent in Gaza, and especially if there is a genocide. We keep thinking that the disabled people, the people with disability, are the ones who suffer the most and who would actually suffer the most serious consequences, might die first, and might get hurt the most. I know from my colleagues who have children with, who take care of children with autism, for example. A child with autism needs special care. And in Gaza, we know that some of these children, their parents cannot take care of them because they are in a tent. They have to go get food. They leave the child with autism in a tent by herself or by himself by tying them to a structure. Imagine how inhumane this is. So these stories are very important. And for our colleagues who champion the rights of people with disability, I say, wake up. We are causing the most harm to this area that has the highest number of people who are amputated in Gaza, who need every support we can give them, not every denial of care and denial of justice that we are engaging in the West. It is unbelievable that some of us who are speaking up against genocide are being censored, silenced, and punished, and even fear being fired. It is shameful. It is disgusting. I cannot believe it. And we should not be silenced because we're afraid. This is our job. And when we swear an oath to take care of life, we have to take care of all lives. As a pediatric neurologist, I am very aware of the needs of children with disability. So I really appreciate your work, Rami. I hope you will let me spread the word and put it in all the platforms that are available to you. I cannot tell you how appreciative I am that you put it all together. Dawn, if you can reflect on what Rami said as somebody who has firsthand experience with taking care of a family member with disability, we would really appreciate that.
Karama, can we just before who's panelist here? Someone panelist, but we don't see them. Can you put your name, please, or open your camera so we know who you are?
Oh, this
Panelist?
one here, panelist. I don't know.
Is this Abu Hamza or I don't know.
This is Ashraf Abul Aziz.
Ashraf,
Sorry, I didn't.
can you put your name, please,
Ahlan
Ashraf, so we know?
I will. I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Don. Sorry about the interruption. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. So there's so much information. There's so much research. Really appreciate, all of that. I think one of the things that really stands out and that I'd like to get into is continuity of care, how important that is for people, and then their accessible devices, and yeah, I think just another reflection is on how when we incorporate accessibility measures into our organizing, then it gives us a mindset for thinking about how to help people in Gaza better too. So it kind of just bringing that in as well, remembering that accessibility and these systems are so connected. So first, I really want to thank Doctors Against Genocide too for prioritizing this conversation and this topic during Disability Justice Month, which is this month. And I want to recognize that immense amount of work that medical professionals in Gaza have been doing to support all their patients. Israel has done everything in its power to destroy the healthcare system in Gaza, with the collaboration of the United States and the endorsement of medical institutions around the world. This affects everyone, but has a unique and profound impacts on the large and growing disabled community in Gaza. So there were 58,000 disabled people living in Gaza before the escalation of genocide, and those people rely heavily, heavily on the continuity of care that was really a big part of that presentation, all these things that people need just to survive. beyond like food and housing. So those individuals, they rely heavily on that continuity of care. And we, healthcare workers for Palestine, we interviewed like an occupational therapist in Gaza. And I just wanted to actually read a couple of quotes from that article, which was published in New York War Crimes by the Writers Against the War on Gaza. Because it really touches on that idea of like continuity of care. So when we asked, so the OT wanted to be interviewed anonymously, and chose the pseudonym Sammy. And so when asked like what changed since the escalation, like this is what he said. Like all the other staff, I was forcibly displaced. My connection to my hospital was cut off, which is still a problem. Now the question of where someone could offer help or treatment isn't just difficult, it's impossible. We can't provide now a continuous service in any place, but even still, I made sure I had a role, even if it was voluntary. I was a volunteer at a government hospital and saw cases there, but when the occupation forces invaded the area, the patients and I were forced to evacuate to a faraway location. At the shelter, I encountered some of the same patients I was seeing before and continued to care for them. But then we had to evacuate again when the occupation attacked that area. So these frequent service interruptions mean that we can neither communicate with patients nor provide adequate services. But ultimately, it's my duty, and I do as much as I can and as much as the circumstances allow for. So like this is the reality of what people who are trying to offer that continuity of care in Gaza are experiencing. Sammy also spoke about a stroke patient, so who should have been in rehabilitation hospital, but those are all out of commission. Sammy helped him at home and continued to seek out a hospital that could care for him, but every hospital was only able to keep beds open for serious injuries from the war. Sammy said, should he go wound himself or go to the Zionists so he can get a war injury to be treated? People who have these kinds of injuries or long-term disabilities cannot receive that continuity of care that they need, and they suffer complications, further disabling them because of that lack of care. So the last time Sammy saw that patient, he was refusing to eat or drink. He was in pain from the calcification of his joints. His psychological well-being was deteriorating, and he was just crying the whole time. So like has been said, I care for my disabled brother Abe at home. He's walking in the background. You'll see him periodically. He's autistic and he has cerebral palsy and ataxia. He has many medical support needs that help keep him in his best possible health. He has regular appointments with occupational therapists, physical therapists, other specialists. He has items that are integral to his care, like a chair that helps with his positioning while eating and prevents him from choking and aspirating food. He has other assistive devices, weighted blankets, gait belts, specialized toilet seats. Like all of these things are so integral to his care. And they're items that we would never be able to pack and bring along with us to live in a tent. And he couldn't even live in a tent. He has like a lot of ambulation. So he needs actually a big space. He would just tear down a tent, like literally tear down a tent. So like these items like that we could never bring along with us are integral to his care. And throughout this genocide, there were 3 people and whose stories that hit really close home for me. And because I don't want to make this about my family, I want to share their stories and kind of like just how we related to them. So Yazan Al-Khafarna is a martyr that many people will never forget. His lifeless, emaciated body is etched into our memories. He was 9 years old when he was martyred, and he was a victim of forced starvation and siege on Gaza. He was one of the first to die of starvation, and his death was directly related to his disability, which my brother has the same, cerebral palsy. So many people with cerebral palsy have specialized diets like high calorie needs. Some use G tubes, which feeds food right into their stomach. And all of these, like most people with CP have specific food and nutrient needs. Like, for example, my brother eats 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. People are eating 250 calories or less a day in Gaza, so would never survive. So Yazan was killed because his family could not access the nutrients in the food that they had no trouble accessing before the escalation and genocide. The second story that really hit close to home was Rami Atiya Abu Mustafa. His story was a little less publicized, so some of you may not know his name, but he was non-speaking like my brother. Rami's story immediately struck like right to my heart because his brother described him as a kind and loving person who didn't understand like the dangers of the IOF. Abe's the same. He would walk right up to people. He's so trusting of people. He'll walk up to anybody. And so Mustafa was shot by the Zionist army, taken to Soroka Hospital. He was missing for 20 days before coming back from being in the care of Zionist doctors. When he came home, his brother pleaded for medical evacuation. Rami had lost his eyesight, which was likely due to torture, and parts of his liver and colon were removed. And that we don't know why, obviously. He can't speak. And Rami died soon after returning to his family. The third story might be the most recognizable of the three, Mohammed Bar. So he was autistic and had Down syndrome. And I'm sure many of you heard about his story. He was a 24-year-old man with Down syndrome who was attacked by IOF dogs. His family described being forced to watch dogs latch onto his arm and not let go. His mother said in an interview, the dog attacked him, biting his chest and then his hand. Muhammad didn't speak, only muttering, no, no, no. The dog bit his arm and the blood was shed. I wanted to get him, but I couldn't. No one could get to him. And he was patting the dog's head, saying, enough, my dear, enough. In the end, he relaxed his hand and the dog started tearing at him while he was bleeding. And his family was forced to leave before he died. And he died bleeding out in the chair that he spent most of his life sitting in. It was like his special chair. So this devastating story was another reminder of the interconnectedness of all these systems of oppression, the extreme dehumanization of Palestinians, combined with the ableist designation of disabled bodies as not fully deserving of life, and conversations about quality of life that are based in eugenics and are at the core of the extreme violence perpetuated against all three of these disabled Palestinians that I just spoke of. All three of them were tortured. Their deaths and what they experienced is unimaginable. And yet this level of violence is commonplace in Gaza. So the core tenets of disability justice were created by Black and Indigenous people who have always resisted genocide. Intentional disabling and neglect of disabled people is part of genocidal strategy. And it's not exclusive to genocide against Palestinians either. However, it has been a long-standing policy enacted by Israel from the decree by Yitzhak Rabin to break their legs, to the targeting of like shooting Palestinians in the knees in the first Intifada. Scholar Jasbir Puar calls this the right to maim. This mass disabling is meant to destroy people's ability to survive, defend themselves, and make them even more dependent on the goodwill of the genocidaires and humanitarian organizations. So they become completely dependent on humanitarian aid. And it's similar where like disabled people around the world are dependent on their governments. That's how disabled people are being threatened in the United States right now, is the cutting, like because so many rely on Medicaid. So it's a way to make people dependent in order to be able to kill them more easily. So we know that no goodwill exists in the hearts of these perpetrators. They call for the mass murder of children. They can look at a disabled person who could never hurt a soul and commit the most heinous acts against them. In like how Abe and I kind of like in October of 2023, like we were Abe was struggling to sleep. I was struggling to sleep. We were reposting videos on TikTok. We couldn't stop thinking about people in Gaza and especially our disabled comrades, just thinking about as a family that all of the care, all of the things that we need to survive and how, and just I couldn't sleep thinking about what people were experiencing and families like ours were experiencing in Gaza. So, very quickly we got involved with like local organizations, the Main Coalition for Palestine, and then Healthcare Workers for Palestine. We know that our disability advocacy is empty without uplifting the stories and experiences of disabled Palestinians. We plan on continuing to organize around Medicaid cuts by the current administration, but also always connecting that back to Palestine and Gaza, always showing how this extreme violence has normalized everything, normalized this extreme violence against disabled people. And to truly support both disability justice and Palestinian liberation, like that intersectional organizing is so important. So I'm really, really grateful to DAG for having centering this like disability justice and the connection, and just for inviting me to, you know, share just a little bit of you know, what my family and my reflections on seeing like people like my family and what they're going through, and just the heinous, horrific violence against our disabled comrades in Gaza.
Thank you so much, Dawn. This was very powerful to hear from you, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing the stories from your own family. Much appreciated. We knew that having you is really important today, so thank you. Marina.
Yeah. Hello, Matt. Before I talk, I want about again, Ali is still on. I would like for him to talk.
Is he here?
He came back in. I saw him coming back in.
As an attendee or as a panelist?
Panelist. I think his name is Abu Asim. His name.
I mean, Rami had his name as Abu Asim, and he changed his name.
I think
But
okay. I'm sorry. I thought I was Ali. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay. No worry. And Ali's not here. I'll talk. But yeah.
yeah,
so
because we also wanted to hear from Ali Tuaima.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I have not seen him come to the webinar, Marina.
No way. What if he comes? Let me know.
Where is he located?
In Gaza.
Okay.
Yeah. No way. If he comes in, I'll let him take over. But in a few minutes, my name is Marina, for those who don't know me. I am based in Chicago, and I want to say thank you to Doctors Against Genocide, especially Rami and Nadal and Dr. Penrose and Mesa. And my Alberto and John, you did a powerful reflection, and also to Rami and all Gaza Forum. I did want to say a few things about the visually impaired community. I myself am visually impaired, so I was why I started losing my vision when I was around 12 years old, and I'm still losing my vision. But alhamdulillah, I'm still able to go to work and do what I need to do. And but I can't do what I can do without all the without accessibility, and without the one thing when it comes to people with blindness is familiar spaces, familiar areas, even if you are blind or visually impaired, you can know where you are at if you are in a familiar place, and for people in Gaza, because of the displacement and the ongoing bombing, people with visual impairment, it takes you out of your everyday familiar place, you know, familiar, your comfort. And people with people with visual impairment in Gaza, I can't imagine the ongoing comfort they are dealing with every single day. It's not comfortable at all being blind, but imagine being blind and not knowing where you are at all times. But But this is why we want to make sure the blind community they come in and we hear your testimony and what they need. And I know sometimes we want to help everyone, but oftentimes we forget, about those with physical disability and intellectual disability. And this is a challenge for all the medical professionals, for all teachers and social workers who are on this call. You know, I know all of you are very overwhelmed with so many things, but we want to help you and support you when it comes to how can we address and engage people with disability in Gaza. And I think I think the two things that I think most pressing, and Rami, you have jumped in, the two things that are more pressing is access to medical aid, food and water, and also access to education. And Rami, I want to know, if you have provide us a little insight, how how people with visual impairment, how are they able, or how are they able to access food, water, or education? If that is happening or not. Can you provide a little insight if you are able?
Thank you so much, Marina. Absolutely, we have been honored to hear from the community with disability in Palestine and in Gaza, and we need each other because ultimately our goal is the same: how to support people who need help, whether they are healthy, whether they have medical issues, whether they have disabilities, and everybody is the same. So, having the report that Rami talked about is extremely important, and we should all be using it, especially people who are in touch with the groups that advocate for disabilities based on their specialty or based on their career. So, one group that can suffers also from disability is the elderly, the old people who have mobility issues, who can start having some cognitive decline. These are also people that need a lot of help. So I think we should continue this conversation, Marina, and we would like you to come again this month during the Disability Pride Month to update us on some of the work you are all doing. I know that you were thinking about doing that today, but it's too much short notice. But we will come, inshallah, we will have you back next week or the week after, so you can update us on what you did with the report and some of the things that you have actually accomplished.
So,
Thank you, Marina, so much. And I want to thank also our friend, Dr. Pedroni. Is he here? Thomas? Oh, yes, here. Dr. Pedroni, he is the one who made this important connection between DAG and the disability justice community. So for that, I am grateful. Thank you so much, Tom. You always identify ways, very important ways for us to grow as an organization, to grow as a people, and to be more effective. And thank you for all of you who are, everybody who is on the panelist today is an active member of Doctors Against Genocide that we have known personally during advocacy visits to the Hill or during other actions. Every member, every person on the call is a very important person for us. This is how we build coalition. This is how we build community. This is how we support each other. And this is how Dr. Ahmed Al-Farra knows that we all care about him. And we, as you can see, the number of hearts whenever Dr. Al-Farra's name comes or whenever somebody from Gaza is here, we love you, we care about you. We always think of you every moment. So, and we appreciate every time, every minute you spend with us.
Thank you, Dr. Karama. Dr. Karama, this is the first time for me to know that you are pediatric neurologist.
Yes, I am. And I would love to hear from you offline about what is happening there. I actually have a big meeting that I'm presenting on, and I need data. So
Please, we need
Yes.
your support. We want to share you a lot of cases from
Please.
Gaza.
And
we have every week nearly one interested case about neurology. We sometimes we need to consult seniors about that, and please, we will contact you about these cases every week, inshallah.
Anytime, any second, anytime you need something, I am here in full capacity. So تحت أمرك دكتور.
Actually, Dr. Ahmed, we created a group for pediatric group to do some work about pediatric situation in Gaza, and it's there on WhatsApp. I invited you. I'm not sure if you joined or not yet, but your presence there is very important because we are embarking on doing a full work and research about pediatric situation in Gaza. We will be honored to have you. And I'm going to take the liberty to announce that we are declaring you DAG ambassador in Gaza. The certificate to be prepared later today, and we will be sharing that with you
Allah
next
يحميك.
week.
Yeah.
Allah يحميك. We are honored to have you. We are proud of you. We're proud of your colleagues. And we're honored to have you as our ambassador and to be represented by heroes, medical heroes like you, Dr. Ahmed. And the WhatsApp group is ready. I will communicate with you regarding that. Dr. Ahmed also connected me in the meantime with another doctor regarding the milk and the formula. It seems that they do have some limited access to get some formula through the Jordanian field hospital. And he shared the list with us about the types of formula needed, and we at DAG are ready to take care of that and do whatever it takes to make sure the formula and the milk gets to the babies, the children in Gaza as soon as possible. And the sky is the limit. Whatever it takes, we're gonna make it happen, inshallah, as long as there is access. And I think Dr. Al-Smadi promised that he will be able to help with that. He's currently busy with another commitment, but we are in touch and we'll make it happen, inshallah.
Thank you, my friend.
And you know, we always try to find ways to support and to help in Gaza. So inshallah, we will have more news for our members. But at the moment, we are helping some colleagues who opened tents for schools. So we support building tents and giving educational materials for children in Gaza. As you know, almost every single school has been completely destroyed, and the teachers are scrambling to create classrooms in tents. The people in Gaza are incredibly industrious, incredibly creative, and incredibly determined. Maybe one day they feel defeated, but the next day, for sure, they will pick up the pieces and they will try their best. And education is the number one priority for every single parent in Gaza. Every child in Gaza, their parents look at their child and think, how do I teach this child to become bright, to become independent, and to be a force of good? So we do support educational efforts, and we do support medical efforts, and your support as our members and as our followers is extremely important to us. And we are happy to have all of you. I know Alberto wants to say something, so please, Alberto, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the conversation. I just wanted to say something shortly, which is, I think at this point most people in Gaza are disabled one point of or another, through impairment, through injuries, through hunger, or to trauma. And
I was thinking the same.
And disability should be part of our conversation, part of our resistance to genocide, but also part of the thinking about rebuilding if a ceasefire is achieved. And disabled people organizations are still very active in Gaza, and for me that's very important to stress. Like today we heard from the Gaza Forum for People with Visual Disabilities, and we are very in contact with Palestinian Coalition of Persons with Disabilities and the Palestinian Deaf Union. They are still trying to do their best to keep the stories of people with disabilities visible and to remain active despite all these challenges. And as with Marina, we're part of this collective that we call ourselves Disability Justice for Palestine. And we're a group basically of disability and human rights activists working in solidarity with Palestine and trying to support our peers from Palestine. And we believe that it's essential to tell the stories, but also the act of resistance of people with disabilities in Palestine, because their experiences through are often, erased, particularly when challenges are so harsh. And as you have said today, they experience war and violence disproportionately, and as Rami explained today, accessing shelter or food is extremely difficult, especially with many of them don't have family support or extended social networks. No, so if I can say something before the closing is basically help us to give visibility to their stories and their act of resistance, and get in contact, and let's explore ways to do something together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto. One thing that I will say, just reading the literature and reading on the website of the disability justice groups in Palestine, I feel so proud of what is the content, and the attitude towards disability is very empowering. There is a lot of pride. There is a lot of focus on dignity and a lot of focus on actually enabling the people with disability. And there's a lot of awareness of what it takes to create the right environment where a person with disability thrives. I'm very thankful for all of you for this. And as a Palestinian myself, I could not be prouder of our people with disabilities in Palestine. And this is an incentive for all of us to keep going and to make our people with disability the people who have everything they need. I know it seems like a pipe dream like that, but there is nothing impossible. And we will continue to work towards this end where every person in Palestine has dignity and freedom and be liberated. Thank you.
Thank you, Karama. And for your information, Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Karama is a professor at Harvard. She always corrects me and says, no, I'm an associate professor. And I
No.
told her, you are the only professor at Harvard because you are the bravest one. You are the one, as far as DAG is concerned, who deserves the full title of professor. Most of the other ones who are silent on the genocide do not deserve their title. So we are proud of you. And I know you have to go and you have a commitment, but we want to just do the usual reflection from our colleagues here. Each one get a minute or two to reflect. And today we are going to start with our friend and DAG hero, Dr. Thomas Padroni, my neighbor, my yeah, freedom fighter. So go ahead and we will go, each one give a couple of minutes or a minute or two reflections, please, suggestions, ideas, what else can we do as a group to keep this movement going and getting stronger for the sake of humanity, our all shared humanity, for the betterment of all of us. Again, we are not against anyone. We are for everyone. It is the other side that is trying to destroy our shared humanity, and we insist on refusing this. Tom.
Yes, and let's play Tarnib again soon, neighbor. I look forward to that. I'm very energized right now about the opening of the university semester in just over a month. I have the feeling that students were targeted and silenced very heavily. The silencing, of course, continues, but I have a sense from talking to student leaders that we are going to see a lot of activity on campuses again in the fall, that people are very appreciative of this moment and its seriousness, both in Gaza and in terms of what is being sacrificed on the altar of Gaza in terms of American freedoms at universities, the right to study, and so on. And so I'm excited to see the coming together not only of student activism again this fall, but we have several initiatives that are coming, including a DAG conference at the University of Michigan and Ann Arbor in mid to late September. I'm sure you'll be hearing more about that over the weeks. And I'm so glad for all the connections that we've been able to make, including with the amazing disability rights activists, with some of the educational activists and so on, to feature the scholasticide, the responses to it, the condemnation of the US disability community in large for its leaving behind of Palestinians and people in Gaza. And I wanted to thank Dawn in particular. Dawn, I loved your message about thinking about what disability means in the US under limited conditions, but where there is some access, and the contrast of that to situations in Gaza. I think that it's that exactly that kind of thinking and then activism around it that needs to happen in every sector. In education too, teachers need to be saying, wow, my job is so hard in the US already. There's so many limitations. There's so many stupid demands of me. But I feel for my colleagues in Gaza as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I know Nidal is here. I thought that you went to see a patient. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go not in any particular order to what I see on my screen. So next will be Eileen Ridge. She always gives me a hard time, so I'll have to pick her first before I get in trouble.
Okay. No hard time today, Nidal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say thank you to Dawn and Marina and Rami for enlightening us and, drawing our attention to this, just this extra piece of struggle for people here, and then to imagine what it's like in Gaza during a genocide. It was very powerful and thought-provoking, and thank you for that. And of course, Dr. Alfara, thank you for your sharing. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. It's always a pleasure to have you and to hear from you. And Dr. Iman Husni, our leader in DC.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm in the car and my connection is not very good. I just wanted to thank all the speakers today. Of course, always our colleagues in Gaza. I just heartbreaking to even think, remembering when my children were babies and they would be crying, and at least I had, I could breastfeed them to comfort them, and just being a parent and having to hear that, it's truly heartbreaking. And I really appreciate the reminder, that things are very difficult, for folks with disability, and it's bad enough to be, starving and with the bombing and all that, but that extra struggle. So I appreciate the reminder. I just want to remind everyone that we're going to be on the Hill again on the 16th of July. And we would love to have you there. The more folks, the better. We are going to be sharing our letter that our fantastic team has put together on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, in hopes that perhaps some of the Congress folks may co-sponsor the letter, and pass it along to folks. I'm focusing on the 101 Congress folks that had signed House Resolution 473 on getting aid into Gaza, and really pressing them on getting the GHF out and just allowing the NGOs that know what they're doing to start bringing the aid in, and then also to try to garner some support for House Resolution 3565, the No More Bombs Act. If you can make it, please, let us know where you're a constituent of, because that sometimes helps me to get appointments. But we've got folks that come all the way from California. And so we would love for you to come and join us. It's also a really great way to bond with everyone. I think in a time like this, when sometimes you're just like, how are people just kind of going on with their lives? It's nice to be with people who are, similar thinking and empathetic, and just, are sick with genocide, just like you, and so sometimes that can be therapeutic and motivating to continue to do the work that we need to do.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. Yes, please help Dr. Iman and help us by joining us on July 16th. Numbers matter. The more people show up, the bigger will be our impact. We need to be in the faces of those politicians who are making all these criminal decisions to cut Medicaid from our vulnerable communities here, from the disabled here, and sending billions of dollars to buy bombs to murder the babies in Gaza and Sudan and Congo, and exploiting everyone in the world. We need to mobilize more and more. Please join us. Please reach out to us. Sign up. Let Dr. Iman and let Dania also know that you are coming and which state you are, so we can email your representatives or help you email them and prepare for the July 16th visit. And talking of Dania, she is the leader of both two states now, New York and DC. Dania, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm overwhelmed with thoughts of reflection, so I guess I'll try to keep this organized. First, I'd like to thank Rami for his comprehensive study on this, and just for drawing our attention to something that I feel like gets forgotten. I feel like when we're all kind of working to stop the bombs from dropping, we forget about all the subpopulations that exist. We forget about just what a detriment of routine being interrupted, what that does for individuals. I also want to thank Marina for all the stuff she does. I'm also really heartened and touched by Dawn and Abe's solidarity. Thank you all. And Dr. Ahmed, it's always like so curing for the soul to see you and to be in this space with you. And yeah, show up with us. Numbers count. We have to be in their faces. They have to see us. Unfortunately, with the U.S. just kind of falling apart, genocide takes a back seat and nobody's thinking about it. So when they see us in numbers and they see our presence on the Hill, it's kind of a reminder that this is going on and we need to stop it. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dania. Thank you for all what you do. Thank you for the hard work. Much appreciated. Now we go to Dr. Abul-Aziz. We never managed to. Dr. Abul-Aziz, are you there?
Yes, I am.
We never
Yes.
managed to change your name on the panel, but hello, Sarah.
Yeah,
So
I don't. I'm sorry, I'm not the tech expert, so I didn't know how to do it.
I'm not either. That's why I could not change it. But okay.
So I was waiting for someone to put my name
We're
on.
missing Maisa today. She's on the flight to Canada.
Yeah, I would like to thank all the panelists and all the speakers. I mean, it's very impressive to hear from everybody that are so committed to this noble cause. I can't wait for the day when we can actually go physically to Gaza and help the people over there. This is my dream right now, is to be able to go side by side with all the doctors over there and help them as much as I can, teach as much as I can. We can do it over online, the teaching part, but still, I can't wait to shake hand with these heroes. Those are the heroes. Those are my role models right now. And I can't thank them enough for everything they are doing and all the sacrifice they are doing. It's unbelievable the kind of misery they are going through, the kind of injustice that the world had been implementing on them. And the least we can do is to go and shake their hands and pet them and do whatever we can to help them going through recovering from this horrible experience that they are still going through, hoping for the best for them in the near future. Thank you for letting me
Thank you,
speak.
Dr. Abul-Aziz. I mean, that day cannot come any sooner. We cannot wait for the day that we all as a group can go there and shake the hands and learn from our colleagues in Gaza and help support them in any way we can. Let's pray for that, inshallah, soon.
Ameen. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen.
I mean, Dr. Shitab. Dr. Shitab from California. Thank you.
Hi. Just, I always, whenever we have these webinars where we share the experiences of the disabled Palestinians, I always think about something I heard someone say once where it said, being disabled is the minority group that we can all one day belong to, and we probably all will one day belong to. And so I think, you know, that should be sufficient motivation for most people to fight for disability rights, because there's no functional difference, you know, between needing, you know, medical equipment because you broke your leg temporarily versus needing it permanently. So they're not distinct from us. They are us, and we will be them. And I think people really need to keep that in mind, both for what's happening in Gaza and what's happening here at home in the US. Thanks to everyone who signed the petition against the GHF that Iman and the others will be taking to DC. Share it widely, you know, it's got some really good information there, and I'm hoping we can get it to 3,000 before Hill Day, maybe more. We're hoping to launch another petition specific to a lot of our medical organizations that focuses on the need to get infant formula and maternal health care into Gaza, inspired by Dr. Al-Farah tirelessly bringing up the need for formula. You know, we watch your interviews very closely, and for most of the viewers, because it's going to be centered towards our medical associations like the AAFP and the AAP, which is our family practice and pediatric organizations. If you know any doctors in your circle, you know, when we post the link, encourage them to sign it, because those organizations will listen to their constituent members. And it's sometimes very hard to get enough doctors to sign on to those letters. So more to come. And then the calls, please call your constituent or your senators and your representatives. If you check your DAG webinar email at the very bottom, where it shares the link for the GHF petition, there's also a link for every action. There's a call campaign with a script. So we tried to make it as simple as possible for you. So please take a look at that. Okay. And stay safe, Dr. Alfara. We look forward to you every week.
Yes, inshallah. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you. Now to our fierce nurse fighter from Boston, Martha Miller. Martha, unmute, please.
Yeah. Hi. I don't have a lot to add, but I do want to express my appreciation to Marina, Rami, and Dawn, and to Tom for introducing this topic. And it really seems, I mean, it's beyond a topic. It's very integral to the whole situation, and the amount of disability growing in Gaza too. I really appreciated what Alberto had to add about that in Palestine. And also very much appreciate to hear from Dr. Alfara. Eileen and I watched the movie last night, my God, what's the name of the movie that BBC?
Yeah, Doctors Under Attack, or
Yes, yeah, and just devastating movie, and we just sat there speechless for the longest time afterwards. And I think our spirits really, these webinars, being part of DAG and hearing from Dr. Alfara, really, I mean, we keep each other going. And so I'm hoping to get down to DC on the 16th, and I'll be in touch, Iman. Thanks.
Thank you, Martha. Sorry, I'm trying to listen to other messages from Gaza, but yeah, thank you, Martha, for being with us. Going now to Maribeth, who I got word for a while that she abandoned us, but we know she was very busy. She had a tough rotation, and it's always a pleasure to see her back. Maribeth.
Hello. It's not that it was tough. I was in the ED the past several Sundays working, so was not able to make the conferences or the DC days. I'm hoping to make the July date, July 16th. We will see, inshallah. Again, to express gratitude to all of the speakers. I say every Sunday, wow, this is an amazing conference. And every Sunday, it is true. This one, everyone should really listen to this one. But it is such a humble blessing as a learner to learn from physicians in Palestine, to learn from allied health, to learn from justice activists in Palestine here, as an integral part of my own education and development, who, again, inshallah, will be a physician this time next year. To tie in, it's also important to me as both a disabled person and as a mother raising disabled children, of how we continue to create more disabled people through acts of empire and colonization. How do we fight against that? And then also wanted to mention, if no one had noticed in the news, there's some big things going on in Philly right now. In Philadelphia, we are having the largest workers' strike, public workers' strike, since 1968, when Martin Luther King delivered his I have been to the mountaintop speech, and then he was assassinated the following day, and that was 1,300 public works people on strike. In Philadelphia, we currently have between 9,000 and 10,000 workers on strike right now, demanding better living wages, living conditions, fundamentally to recognize the humanity of everyone. And so often, as we're seeing in Philadelphia, at these picket lines, we're seeing a lot of keffiyehs. And we're seeing a lot of overlap, even as we remembered in Philadelphia, the move bombing. The ladies at the memorial all had keffiyehs on. and a painful, important reminder of the solidarity work with Palestine in both centering Palestine and then the spokes of change that are coming from it. So thank you again.
Thank you, Maribeth. My dear friend and our colleague, Dr. Kuram Janjua from Maryland. Are you there, Kuram?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm unable to turn my webcam on right now, but I just want to echo all of my colleagues' voices and thank you everyone for these weekly webinars. It's so necessary. I think just from an educational standpoint and from a morale standpoint to remind us all of how much we're in this together and obviously, thank you to all of our colleagues in Gaza, for all the panelists on this webinar. And thank you, Dr. Pedroni, for brushing on this topic. I think it's so necessary to speak on the on the disability portion, especially because there's so much more than the visible disability that we can kind of see. Apart from the disabilities that are invisible as well too, so it's imperative for us to uh, both from a medical aspect and from the people who are not in medicine to see this side. And thank you, Dr. Jabour. Thank you, Dr. Karame, as well, for always being there for all of us. And even for those who unfortunately cannot join us in this live, it's great to be able to have this resource so that way we can send to the rest of our colleagues and to the rest of the community and to those who are just unaware of exactly what's going on. I don't really have much more to add other than that. I just want to say that I'm extremely humble and grateful as always to always be in company of each and every single one of you. Thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, Kuram. And last but not the least, one of the most inspiring doctor, one of the most inspiring human beings, second only to the doctors in Gaza, our colleague, our friend, Dr. Yiping. This guy is all over the place, from Canada to Gaza to Geneva to everywhere. We're honored to have you here. Go ahead, Deeping.
Thank you, Dr. Nadal. Yeah, I wasn't I wasn't really feeling up for speaking, but Dr. Nadal texted me and here I am. I feel like I've said so much. I think a lot of people have already said so much. I feel like there's really just no more words to be said. What we need is action. And I see people doing what is needed and necessary in this moment, like all over the world, just seeing like people in the UK standing up for Palestine action, getting arrested because now they're seen as terrorists under the law. I'm seeing people like all over the world go with multiple freedom flotillas, and there's a freedom flotilla planned for next week that will take off from southern Italy. I was in Egypt with 4,000 other people from 80 different countries trying to march to the Rafah border. There was the Tunisian Sumu convoy of over 2,000 people who tried to bring aid in through Tunisia, through Libya. They were blocked in eastern Libya. I'm seeing everyday people who want to see a genocide end, want to see the famine end, do what they can. But this shouldn't have to be the case, right? We all shouldn't have to be here talking about this. We all shouldn't have to be organizing to end a genocide. This is actually the responsibility of countries, of states, of the international kind of human rights and whatever frameworks we're talking about. And I spent a few days in Geneva last week speaking to people in the United Nations, and they actually feel and feel similarly, like they are producing the reports and documenting and chronicling and putting into the archive this genocide for what long-term accountability might look like. But they have failed to stop a genocide, to prevent a genocide from happening. But that responsibility is not only on the international community at that level, it is on every member state, on every country, every state that still sends arms to Israel, that still has normalized relations with trade with Israel, like Canada, for example, that hasn't put on sanctions. There are so many levers that different states can do, and many have done the bare minimum. So I am glad to be in a group with all of you, healthcare workers of conscience, who refuse to turn away, who will look genocide in the eye, will hear updates from like colleagues on the ground who are trying to take care of their patients, their community, their people, despite this, horrific ongoing live stream genocide, while the leaders that are responsible for ending this refuse to. I think that is just so much of my frustration. But at the same time, it's the major silver lining of all of this is to be with all of you and to know that there are people, ordinary people, citizens of the world, healthcare workers of the world, who are trying to do what they can to end this genocide. So may we continue to support those people-led efforts, because those are the only efforts that have actually ever ended and stopped anything horrible in this world, is the power of people and mobilizing and organizing people power, and recentering the people of Palestine as they continue to endure this genocide.
Thank you, Dr. Reaping. Thank you for all what you do. We are really proud of you, always inspired by you. And as you said, this genocide should not have happened. This catastrophe should not have happened. It should have been prevented, should have been stopped 100 years ago. Dr. Marwan Sultan should not have been murdered. Dr. Alpor should not have been murdered. All the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics should not have been murdered. The children should not have been murdered. The mothers, the fathers, the elderly, the young, the hospital should not have been murdered. But it's precisely because of this that we are here and that we should fight harder. It is precisely because of this that we should live, we should fight, we should resist, and we should win. Because a world that accepts and normalizes a genocide is not a world that we accept. We are going to change this. Gaza sacrificed it all for the sake of humanity, so we can fix this humanity and make sure we say never again, and we mean it, that the sacrifices of the people of Gaza will help all of us fix this world and not allow these crimes to be committed anywhere else. Gaza gave it all. It's now up to us to make sure that their sacrifice did not go in vain. That's why we should fight. I know it's hard, but we always need to remember that it's always darkest before the dawn, and the dawn is near. Let's fight harder. Let's do more. Let's unite. Let's mobilize. Let's scream louder. Let's do everything we can, because we must win. If we lose, we will lose it all, not just in Gaza. We will lose it all over the world. Gaza did its part to free us all, and it's all up to us now to do our part. And inshallah, next week we will have better news. We'll have more exciting news. And inshallah, Gaza will win soon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for the hard work despite all the difficulties. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Please send all our thanks to your colleagues who have been enduring all this. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Rami, and all our colleagues here. And I know Karama had to leave because she has other commitments, and I promised her to make it even shorter this week. But again, seeing you, hearing from all of you, time becomes just a detail. So thank you, everyone. Inshallah, we'll see you next week, and inshallah, we'll have more exciting news. And again, we must live to tell their story. We must live to honor their legacy. We must live to make sure that their sacrifice did not go in vain. And we must live to make sure that everything that Gaza gave is a contribution to a better world and a better humanity that we all should make sure it materializes. And Dr. Ahmed, I know it's late for you. Again, thank you for being with us every time. And inshallah, we'll see you next week. And please be safe. Please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nidal. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Mariam. Thank you, Dr. Karama. Thank you, Marina, Mary, everyone. You know, again, all of the positive energy we took from this webinar, from this weekly webinar, we will continue with you. This is one-way direction, just to go forward, no backward as possible. Thank you for your time. I will be with you. I will do updating every day. I will contact my colleague and my dear colleague, Dr. Nidal, every time. I will try to put everything in this webinar to discuss everything. You are really our support. Thank you for your time again. God bless you everyone. ما شاء الله الله يبارك فيكم حفظكم الله ونستودعكم الله الذي لا تضيع ودائعه السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Alaikum salam, Allah yahmeek. Dr. Ahmed, you are our ambassador to Gaza, along with Dr. Khalid Al-Sir. We are all at your disposal. Please keep us updated. Please let us know anything we can do to help. And may God protect you, protect your colleagues. And inshallah, we'll see you all next week.
Inshallah, we will. I'll tell our colleagues in the meeting tomorrow that we create one of the pathway for learning, for teaching. We have colleagues from Al-Azhar University, from Islamic University students. We will share with you if there is a lecture on Zoom by Dr. Karama, but any consultation, anything, please. We are closely borders. We are not unable to communicate with the outward, but you are the window of hope that we will try to breathe among it. Thank you. We will contact, inshallah. God bless you.
Jahzeen, ready, and you keep reminding, you keep inspiring us and reminding us of more ideas. We do have the annual DAG conference to be held in September at the University of Michigan, in Michigan, and we would love to have you as a speaker, Dr. Al-Farra, and any of your friends that you nominate to be speakers, hopefully in person. Inshallah, we can get you in person by September, but if not, by Zoom. And we are really, we were talking about it, we are planning for this conference, we were talking about it last week. We need someone to talk about the maternity and fetal-maternal medicine, and I'm sure you are in the best spot to nominate someone for us. We want you to talk on behalf of the pediatric department in your hospital, but please, I'll contact you privately. We need someone to talk about the struggles of mothers, pregnancy, delivery during this genocide. Even more than one speaker is fine. We need a whole panel for this, and we will appreciate if that panel is almost exclusively from Gaza, from people who did the work and who are first witnesses.
I would ask my colleague, Dr. Shireen, from maternity section. She's so cooperative, but the net connection in her area is very, very weak. I try to find some place for her to join us, inshallah, next webinar to talk about
Allah يريد. That will be
maternity,
great.
inshallah.
Please.
inshallah inshallah
Yeah,
رب العالمين.
please.
الله يحفظك يا رب.
Okay, guys. Our mission ends with liberation, and our mission ends with freedom for all. Our mission ends only with justice. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.